Hello, my name is Randy Lang. I work with Samson Sports, and our goal here today is to try to do as easily as we can a video on how to install one of our Saber towers on a fiberglass boat. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to pick up the tower and make a determination where we think it looks good on the boat, and then we're going to make our marks and drill our holes and whatnot. We've put tape on the boat to protect the boat in the places that I feel we're probably going to be going. We're going to hold it in the position. And then we look at the top of the tower and make sure that it's going fairly level and that we have good places on the boat to mount to where we're not mounting on a cleat or something. And this looks good. We can be pretty much dead center in the boat, so we'll take the tower back off and set it down. And now we need to get a couple more supplies to set up and show you the next phase of the installation. We've laid out on the back of the boat here all the supplies that come with the tower, with the exception of the grease. Everything else that's on the back of the boat here is supplied with the tower. You have your backing materials for the rotating foot, the rubber gaskets, the outer washer that should fit the contour of the boat, the rotator cups, lock nuts. All this goes for the rotating portion of the tower. All the supplies you see here go to the fixed mounts in the front of the tower. We're going to start with the rotating, whether it's the reverse or the Saber tower. Always start with the rotating mounts. That secures the tower to the boat and allows you to do the rest of your work. These washers come in a variety of different contours. We have them ranging from flat to pretty good sized concave so that it'll fit around the contour of a boat. And we'll show you here. When you have one that fits nicely, it mates right up to the boat. It doesn't rock. It's a nice fit to the boat. It'll prevent the gel coat from cracking. So once we have a good match, this is the area that we determined that the tower looked good. A Saber tower rotates to the back, so the rotating mount will be in the rear in this case. If it was a reverse tower, this rotating mount would be on the front. So since it's a Saber, we're going to go ahead and place it here, and then we're going to make a couple of marks. We do our best to line it up, make sure that it's square to the boat. And then I put 2 marks where my holes will be. Now we'll go to the other side, and generally I use the windshield frame as a guide. I'll measure from the rear of the window frame or the front of the divider or something like this, and I'll come back and we will determine where our first bolt will be. So in this case, our first bolt is at 30 3/4. So we will go over to the other side of the boat, measure back that distance, and then from this line here, we'll pick a contour of the boat. We'll come down and measure. In this case, it is 2 3/4 inches. So our first bolt on the opposite side will be 30 3/4 back and 2 3/4 down. And then once we center this over what is the front hole on the other side, we mark both holes for the other rotating washer. After you drill the hole in the boat, you want to countersink the edges with the ceramic ball that's been supplied with the kit, just to remove the gel coat from the outer edge of the hole. So if there's any twisting at all of the bolt, it does not cause any gel coat cracking. Okay, once we have fit the washer to the boat, we know that everything is good, the contours fit, we've already drilled our holes, everything's ready to go. You assemble this rotating piece, you put in the lock nut, then you put in this little foam block which holds pressure against it so that you can get a bolt started into it. Then you put your gasket, and if there's a taper to the washer, make sure that the taper is going in the right direction. In this case, it needs to be tapered up, the thicker part, so that it's flat. And then we would place this through the boat into the holes that we had drilled. Sometimes the backer material may need to be cut just a little bit. If your holes were up here, you would have to trim part of this in order for it to fit in there. The object is you want your backing material to stay as large as you can, but you need it to fit as flat as you can. There's some epoxy provided. You mix up equal parts of each. In this case, you'd want to use half for the back, half for the front. Mix up equal parts of each. It's a 2-part epoxy. And then you have to mix it for about a full 2 minutes. Then after it's setting up a little bit, you want to wait 5-10 minutes or so. It starts to set up. You apply some to your plastic plate so that when you tighten down, it'll fill in any rough contour on the inside of the boat and help prevent the cracking. Okay, when you're all ready to tighten the mount up, your person on the inside will have his backing material. There'll be glue on it if necessary. If it's flat, you don't necessarily need it. If the more the contour, the more the glue. Your person on the outside of the boat will use a 5/16 Allen wrench to hold the bolt in place as the person on the inside tightens the nut. You want to snug up one in the front, then go to the back, snug it up, then you can go to the front, tighten it all the way down as tight as you can get it, then the same in the back, and then you're done with that mount. Now that we have secured the rotating mount assembly to the boat on both sides, we're getting ready now to put the tower and secure the tower to these mounts. So first thing to do is apply a little bit of grease onto the bolt, this shoulder bolt that's been supplied with the kit, and then also apply a little grease to the flat part of this rotating piece. This piece here slides up in here, and this is what the tower rotates on. You slide the bolt inside here, apply a little bit of Loctite inside the threads of this lock nut. Then you get the tower to line up in place, line up the bolt, and start the bolt. Now when you get the bolt started, you can run it in, you go all the way as tight as you can get it, and you're done with the rotating assembly of this tower. Okay, now that we have the tower mounted to the rotating assembly, we raise it up to the position where we like the looks of the tower again to the boat. We bring this foot down so that we're in a nice flat body part of the boat. We're going to rotate this and pivot that. And then once we have a nice fit to the boat, we'll go ahead and we'll draw a circle around this. And do the same to the other side. As soon as you have your marks on both sides, collapse the tower back to get this out of your way. Okay, now we're going to get ready to do the front stationary feet, which allows you to collapse the tower. In your kit, you'll have the rubber gasket for the front washer. Do your best to center it and split the difference all the way around to we're finding the center of this foot. So we're going to go ahead and mark that. Do the same to the other side. Make sure there's nothing on the other side. There's generally wiring and stuff inside the boat, so you want to make sure that everything's clear. You drill your holes, use the ceramic ball again to countersink the edge of the hole. And then as this foot that you removed, you want to put a stud inside of it. So you're going to use the Loctite that was provided, put a little bit up inside the threads here, and run the stud up inside of the foot. You can use the black bolt that was provided to hold here, and a pair of pliers or something to tighten it more here. Now your foot is ready to go into the boat. Okay, just as was the case with the rear washers, the front washers are the same. If there's a contour, you may have to rotate this round one so you get the best possible fit. As soon as you get the best fit possible and it no longer rocks, you go ahead and you take your pen. I use a dry erase marker. You can use a grease pencil, anything that wipes off easily. You make a mark on your washer, and you make a mark on the boat, which allows you to keep that contour lined up to the boat so that when you're tightening it, this washer does not turn. By keeping it lined up, you'll have a nice fit to the boat. There will be no gel cracking. One thing to make sure is when you put this assembly together, you have your alignment mark in place. You make sure to put the yellow gasket or the plastic gasket between the aluminum washer and the boat, which also protects the fiberglass. You insert this black oxide bolt, and then just like in the previous mount, you'll have a plastic backing material, glue, aluminum plate assembly that you put on the backside with a brass nylock nut. You use this to hold it in place as it's being tightened. You want it snug, but you still need to be able to turn this when you're done to do a final adjustment so that you make these two surfaces line up perfectly. Once you're good and snug, you remove this bolt, and then it allows you to tip the tower forward. And then you insert the 5-lobe knob, which allows you to collapse the tower. As soon as you've done both the same to the other side, to collapse this tower, all one needs to do is remove this knob from both sides. And then this tower will collapse and rest generally on the cushions. On a smaller boat, this will generally rest on the cushioned motor area in the back compartment of the boat. One important note to remember with our tower is Samson Tower. This position is fine for pulling into a garage, going under any kind of a low clearance structure, but you are not to travel like this for any distance. For travel, you want the tower up and all mounting assemblies firmly fastened and all the way down tight. It should all be structurally tight.